Hello, my name is Danait and today I'll be discussing common fractions, numerations and operations with my fellow pre-service teachers Alysha and Jake.
The learning intention of this topic is split into three parts, as we have a range of students who differ in their abilities to understand how to apply deductive reasoning to common fraction, numeration and operation.
Since this lesson is going to be split into three parts to cater for differentiation of the student's learning, I'll be focusing on the norm/standard of learning outcomes that the students should be able to understand by the end of Year 4, that is converting mixed numbers into improper fractions and vice versa, through an activity called pizza service.
To cater for the differentiation of learning, I'll be demonstrating the key skills students need to have to further progress in the learning stages. Our aim is to have students at the standard level of Year 4, as well as strengthening their prior knowledge of common fractions, numeration and operations. Through the activity Basic Fraction Numeration, we hope to deepen the students' knowledge so that they are able to achieve a standard learning goal.
I will be conducting an activity called Pizza Shop that provides students with a visual model that aids with understanding of adding and subtracting common fractions at an advanced level. Hello, my name is Alysha, and as I mentioned previously, my activity will be covering concepts needed for students who are above level. Prior knowledge needed for students includes adding and subtracting fractions and understanding how fractions relate to one another in terms of what makes them equivalent. In this case, it will be doubling the fraction to see how well it equals the same. For instance, a quarter equals 2/8. It is also important that students know how to represent fractions on a number line, so that this aids in their ability to see which fraction is larger or smaller in comparison to one another. It is important that students have previous knowledge on equivalent fractions, which they would have learnt in grade 3 and grade 4. Okay, so according to Osvalds, Year 5 students learn to add and subtract fractions with common denominators and represent equivalent fractions on number lines. Okay. The activities covered also look at key ideas and concepts such as understanding parts of a whole, such as 2 halves equals 1 whole and 8 eighths equals 1 whole. I will now be going into a possible warm-up activity that can be conducted for students above level. This activity consists of a number line in which on this number line students will be able to label halves, quarters and whole. This number line ranges from 0 to 2, so it will make more leeway to write down improper fractions, which are, as we know, are greater than 1. The second number line, students will list eighths, sixes and thirds. This number line also ranges from 0 to 2, so makes leeway for improper fractions. I will now be going into my main activity. This activity covers key ideas and concepts such as understanding parts of a whole. This activity is known as the pizza activity, and it enables students to solve a worded problem using addition and subtraction of common fractions. Okay, now a brief outline. Students will be investigating who ate more pizza. So in the problem, Tina and Louise. Tina suggests that she ate more pizza than Louise, and Louise suggests she ate more pizza than Tina. The student's aim is to find out which one ate more. So I'm just going to give you a brief outline of what we're supposed to do. So it says here, Tina ate 2 eighths of chicken pizza. So we have chicken pizza and we take 2 out of the 8 slices. Tina also ate 3 eighths of pepperoni pizza and a half of Mexican pizza. Now, students need to know that a half is the same as 4 eighths in this case, as there are 4 pieces of pizza and 8 in total. So half of Mexican pizza, 1, 2, 3, 4. Louise ate 5 eighths of chicken. As we can see, there are 5 pieces left. So this will indicate to students whether or not they are doing the right thing. And 4 eighths of Mexican pizza. Again, acknowledging that 4 eighths is the same as 1 half in this case. So yeah, we have the right amount. Now, the aim for students is to add up all the pizzas they have to see which one has more than the other. In this case, students will need to know that in order to add, the same denominator must be used each time. So in this case, for Tina, she has 1 1/8, another eighth, another eighth, another eighth, and another eighth. So that'll be 1/8 plus 1/8, which is 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8, and 9/8. Louise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 slices. So 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8, she has 3/8, plus another 3/8, which is 6/8, plus another 3/8, which is 9/8, plus one more, which is 10/8. So in this case, Louise ate more than Tina. Students will need to know that 10/8 are greater than 9/8 in this case. Okay, also students can work out by knowing that 8/8 is the same as 1 whole, and they will have one more slice left over. So that is 8/8 plus 1/8, which is the same as saying 1 whole plus 1/8, which will equal 9/8 in this case. As the same with Louise's activity. Students will also need to know and understand their factors and being able to simplify fractions. So for example, in this case, as we saw, 4/8 is equal to 1/2. If students are unable to convert 1/2 into 4/8, this can lead to difficulty in their calculation and therefore leads to the wrong answer. The success criteria of this activity was using additive thinking in order to add parts of a whole.
Hi, my name's Danait and I'll be focusing on students who are at an intervention stage, so students who are below standard. So this will be considered level 3. So key ideas and things that we want students to focus on are understanding that a fraction is a part of a whole. The fraction needs to be equal, so ensuring that there are no inconsistencies when they are drawing up a whole. And the different sizes of a fraction, so ensuring they have that visual understanding as well as students understanding what the actual representation. Okay, so the Oswald levels that this is aimed at is level 3, so students need to be able to model and represent unit fractions including a quarter, a half, a third, a fifth, and their multiples of a whole, so ensuring that they can cover the whole of the actual fraction. So this is also the learning intention, so that we can ensure this is strengthened so students can progress into further levels such as converting fractions into mixed numbers, whether it be improper or also using fractions within the operations that they can be used from. So the reason behind this is, as we said, we want students to progress, but also we want students to be at their expected level, which is level 4, whereas now they are a bit below. Okay, so things that we are hoping them to achieve, which can be considered as their success criteria, can include identifying different unit fractions, students being able to represent the actual fractions through a visual representation, writing a simple sentence to show that they're understanding for the written aspects of a fraction, so being able to form a sentence to show that their fraction of an area model is clear. Misconceptions that students can face include not understanding that a quarter is smaller than a half, so looking at the actual denominator and not understanding because 2 is smaller than 4, they assume that the number is larger. Well, in this case, the fraction is larger. This can go back to them not understanding that a numerator and what a numerator is, and what a denominator is. So getting them to understand what those two represent. My first activity is a warm-up, which will include students getting the whole pizza and understanding that they start off as a whole, but then the different portions represent the different fractions. So 1 pizza slice equals 1/8. But different slices forming together can form the actual whole. So 2 slices equals 2/8. 3 slices will equal 3/8, and so on, until we get to 8/8, which is also a whole. So getting students to understand what the numerator and the denominator actually represent. So the denominator equaling how many pizza slices we have all together, which is in this case 8. Then getting students to understand what each pizza slice represents. So as 1 slice is 1/8. So as one portion they are 1/8, but together they form as 8/8, which is considered a whole. My second activity is getting students to work individually to understand as a paper this is a whole, and we're getting students to fold it. So in this case, students will fold this in half Once they're folded in half equally, then they can show by labeling what the half is. So this is one half and this is one half, and together they form one whole. They can do this with several pieces of paper, so showing different fraction models, for example thirds, quarters, to show their understanding of how the actual sizing of the fraction is, and also to get that visual representation on point. As a form of assessment, teachers can get students to show their understanding of fractions by getting them to draw a visual representation, so an area model. For example, as we were doing pizzas earlier on, we can show that there is a whole of a pizza starting off and shading either a quarter, a half, or an eighth to demonstrate their understanding of the actual portion of that pizza. Then following this, there should be a written response so that the teacher is able to see that the students understand the concept of a fraction through visual and written aspects.
My name is Jake. This part of the video is going to be concentrating on the learning goal in which converting mixed numbers to improper fractions, and it's going to be based on grade 4 level. So this is what students should be able to understand and apply or have the knowledge to do by the end of year 4. So it's usually the standard level. So common misconceptions with improper fractions and mixed numbers is that in regards to improper fractions, the numeral of the numerator has to always be higher than the numeral of the denominator, so therefore it's classified as an improper fraction, and then they can convert that into a mixed number. For this lesson plan, the success criteria is going to be making sure that students are able to convert mixed numbers into improper fractions and vice versa through the help of models or mental strategies. For this lesson plan, there's going to be a warm-up activity, a main activity, and then we're going to conclude it with a share time. So for the warm-up activity, it's going to be just a short activity. It's called the ice cream shop. It's found on Maths is Fun. I don't know if you can see it, but basically the activity is it's interactive. So there's a cone here, which is empty, and the cone can hold basically 3 or 4 scoops of ice cream. Again, it's working with fractions, so each student would click whichever flavour they want. They add different parts into the cone, and then if they want to add more parts, seeing it can only hold 4 parts, if they were to click 5 parts of chocolate, then the fraction will become 5 quarters. So therefore, they would have to work out how many scoops would they take to place that scoop into another empty cone to make that one just whole again. And then basically, they'd bring 1 scoop over to the empty cone, and that's it. So it's a quick activity which gets their minds on fractions. Okay, for our main activity for this lesson, it's going to be focusing on converting mixed numbers to improper fractions. So we can do this with an activity called pizza service. So basically, you need you separate the students in the class into groups of 2. So one student of that group would ring up, and they would say, "Can I order like an improper fraction of a pizza?" So they say something like, "Can I order 11/8 of a pizza?" And then it's the other person's job in the group to basically get 11/8 and convert that into a mixed number. So they'd get so 1 whole of this pizza is 8s. So they get 8 8s, which is that, and then they'd also seeing they need 11/8. They need to get another 3, and then they would deliver this pizza to their other group member, saying that this is 1 whole and 3/8 another pizza. So this lesson applies to real life, as in many cases primary students may be starting to do cooking and stuff like that. So using halves, and they have to know the ability to convert improper fractions into mixed numbers if they did cooking or mixed ingredients, something like that, chemistry or basic chemistry, something like that. So the importance of this lesson is concentrating on mixed numbers and improper fractions, and this has many real-life applications. So basically, could be for cooking, for an example. So students may have to find out for a particular recipe, such as 1 cup and 2 quarters to mix into some other ingredients, and this can relate to primary school students. So they're basically going to be engaged from the start of commencing this activity. To conclude this lesson, we're going to do some share time with the students so they can just ask questions, inquire questions about the lesson that they may, some misconceptions they may not understand at the lesson.
The 3 activities discussed cater for a diversity of student learning across grade 4 level, as each activity imposes a different learning intention for students at level, above level and below level.
Although the activities used in our demonstrations are very basic in construction, they're very applicable and can be used to cater for schools that are low SES, as they're easy to create, and if you laminate them, they can last forever.
We thank you for watching our presentation, and we hope you've learnt a great deal and used it effectively within your teaching.